All right. Welcome back to another video of mine. I'm here with someone special, someone big, someone I've wanted to come on for a while and have him introduce himself.
What's going on, guys? Clifford Taylor here, former Florida Gator, walk-on tight end, current content creator, also working for the NBA social team, and newly founder of the Walk-On Gang. New merch dropping tomorrow, so you caught me at a perfect time. So,
Yes, sir.
definitely a lot going on. So make sure I get your merch.
Okay, as like you just said, most people don't know that you're a former walk-on at the University of Florida. Would you mind going into that a little bit more and kind of, if you like to?
Yeah, for sure, man. I don't know how much time we got, but it's a long story. So,
Oh, for sure. Go ahead, man.
Florida growing up was my dream school. My dad went there, so I always wanted to be a Gator. And so it was one of those things where I was just always book smart. So I just always had this gut feeling that if I don't get a scholarship there, I can go in there for school. And that's basically what happened. So, basketball, I played that my whole life. That was like the only sport I played. And so once I kind of saw that it was wasn't looking too bright for me, I was just like, you know what, I'll just, I'll take the punches, accept the fact that, I'm done, and I'll just go to UF for school because, like I said, UF was always where I wanted to go. So lo and behold, I got accepted. And I just kind of was under the assumption like, okay, I'll just try to walk onto the basketball team. And so things actually looked like it was going north for a little bit because I was actually able to get in contact with one of the assistant coaches. So I was like, oh, snap, we got a shot here. And so go on campus, and then I find out that he just accepted a role to FAU, head coaching job. And I was like, well, there goes that. So basically my freshman and sophomore year, I just played intramural basketball, and I just, got bored, and I played flag football with my friends. I'm like, you know what? I honestly looked at flag football as cardio. I'm like, okay, I'll never play no real football. This is just like a way to stay in shape or whatever. So go to sophomore year. One night I just had like a crazy, I think I had like 4 or 5, I can't remember, 4 or 5 touchdowns. It was crazy. And there was a player there. His name was Robert Clay, and he was a walk-on DB. And so after the game, he had asked me if I ever thought about, walking on. And I was like, for the Gators? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, nah, bro. I've never played a down of football in my life. And so he was just basically telling me his experience and how he got in such amazing shape. And that night, I kind of just let it go in one ear and out the other because I'm like, there's no way they would let a dude who's never played football, be one SEC football team. It just don't happen. So lo and behold, that week led up to the LSU game, and that was when, of course, B still got the pick six, and that was the first time people were saying like the swamp was back. Mm-hmm. And I kind of did like a little glance around, and I was like, I want this. I kind of want this. So it was one of those things like that night. I was like, you know what? I'm going to, take the punches that come with it, but I'm going to give it a shot. Worst thing happening is I don't make it, but at least I can say that I tried.
But you tried, yeah.
So from that point, I was about 200 pounds on a good day. And so for the next 3 to 4 months, I was just working out every day, hitting up every trainer in Gainesville that I could, and just, paying for football sessions and things like that, just trying to, do my best to make the squad. So, if I spend all this money and I don't make it, at least I can, like I said before, say I tried. So,
yeah.
So lo and behold, our guy, Vernell Brown, who's like the head of student athlete development, I had texted him that I got a number from Kyle Pitts, actually, because I was actually friends with him because we had a class together. And so I hit him up and I was like, hey, I'm interested in walking on. And the first thing he asked me was if I have any football highlights. And I was like, well, that's where the train stops right here. And so I just was honest with him. I'm like, honestly, no, sir, I've never played. I'm just here for the opportunity. And so lo and behold, he kept me in the loop and told me that we were having, a walk-on meeting in January and tryouts in February. And so February happens, and the tryout was during this thing called the dead period. And so the dead period is basically like where you can't have recruits on campus, you can't work out with a football, just like weird, it's weird stuff. And so our tryout consisted of nothing but, agility and conditioning, which, as a basketball player, that's our bread and butter. So the tryout was nothing to me. I never told them that the tryout was literally like a cakewalk. And so afterwards, JC, who was our personnel guy, he told me, he was like, we would love to have you. We want to have you, but your schedule kills you. And I was like, what do you mean my schedule kills me? And he's like, the time we have spring ball is the time you have class. And I was like, oh, okay, so like, what does that mean for me? He's like, that means you'll be here. It just means you got to wait till June. And I'm just sitting here like, they ain't gonna forget me in June. That's like a whole spring ball. Like,
Mm-hmm.
ain't gonna worry about little kid who's never played. So naturally, March goes by, April, May, I don't hear nothing. And then I never forget the day, June 21st, I got a message from JC saying, he's like, you ready? And I was like, yeah, okay, all right, cool. So next thing I know, I'm in the facility and I see all the likes of like Freddie Swain, Felipe, Van, Kyle, KP, like everybody. And it was just like, dang, it's like, I guess, well, I guess we're teammates now. And so
Yeah.
First coach I bumped into was Coach Savage. You know, he was like, "Hey, big guy, you ready to train?" Oh man, I was so excited. But yeah, that's how I made the squad. And then like, you know, those 2 years it just went like that. It's crazy.
Okay. So, like you said, you didn't play it down of football, actual contact football prior to coming to Florida, and you coming in a SEC ball, which is pretty competitive, and playing on the East Coast. You play like Georgia, Bama, and all them stuff. So, like, coming from not playing any type of football up until playing SEC ball, what was the kind of like whoa factor? Like, whoa, like this is the real deal right here. There's some dogs out here.
Honestly, when I saw the playlist, I mean the playbook. When I saw the playbook, because I looked at it, and you know it's crazy going in. I was like, I'll be able to get this down. There's no problem, man. You see that playbook? It's like 50 to 60 pages of straight cheat codes. I'm just looking at it. I'm just like, what in the hell am I looking at? And so I knew the basics of football, like you know, like personnel types. I knew that. I knew like about like schemes. I knew about formations. It was the concepts that messed me up. It's like, I mean, you can line up as an X, Y, Z. I remember one time they put me in as an H during scout team. I was like, ain't no way. But yeah, no, like it was just learning the playbook. Like that took me a while. It took me at least one good training camp to like really get it. And by that point, it didn't really matter because I was doing, you know, scout team. So I wasn't really gonna, you know, utilize this playbook to feel like, I guess, like spring ball or whatever. So I kind of got it at the pretty much most inconvenient time. So the playbook was definitely the hardest, but honestly, the contact wasn't really an issue for me because like I've always been like, you know, relatively bigger than the average person, but some people I feel like they don't know how to use their size and their strength to their ability. So I just looked at it as like, okay, I'm a big guy. I'd be damned if I don't use it the right way. So, you know, whenever we did like goal line drills or one-on-one drills, I just used to go crazy. I'll never forget one time we did a one-on-one drill. It was me and one of my good friends now, JP, and he hit me first, like in helmet to helmet first when we did a one-on-one drill, and like just suddenly I just started like moving them, and like I backed him up like 10 yards, like the whole tight end group. It was like 9 of us. They just like surrounded me, and I was just like, oh, this is kind of fun. This is kind of fun. So yeah, like my junior year, that was awesome. We went 11-2, won an Orange Bowl. My senior year, that's when everything was easy to me. All the workouts were fine. I never folded over them. Playbook was clockwork. Now, like I would even pull up to practice like with a little more swag, a little more drip in my step. Because like my first media day, I ain't have nothing on. I look like a generic, you know, creative player. And next year, it's like once you get that confidence, once you get that, okay, I've been in the building a little bit. You kind of add a little swagger to your steps. So yeah, the junior to senior transition was crazy, and not to mention during that time I started making, you know, TikToks, which just did a life of its own. So
yeah, that's crazy because that's how I found you on TikTok. I think it was like what your teammates think you're listening to versus what you're listening. That's actually how I found you. I was like, that's now I'm here sitting talking to you. That's crazy. That's crazy.
That video is like 2 years old now, I think.
Yeah,
crazy.
It's crazy. But you know, family plays a big factor in many different things. So when you told your family that you were trying out for the Gators, what were their reaction? Because you know, when I told my family I was trying out for my team, it was like, do it. I mean, you played football all your life, so do it. So what was their reaction when you told them?
My dad was excited. My dad was exuberant. He was excited. My mom was scared to death. My mom was just so worried about seeing her little baby get his head knocked off or something like that. So she was scared to death. My dad, my dad and my friends, they were excited, but they were just more so confused. They were just
Yeah.
like,
Like why?
yeah, why? Why would you play now? It's like because I understood, and they knew this too. It's like when you got Kyle Pitts, Keon Zip, Kamori Gamble, all them in the tight end room, you're not sniffing the field. And I understood that. So I'm just like, yo, like I'm just here to do my part, know my role, shut my mouth, and just go on with my business. Because this experience is unlike any other. Not many people can say whether you're a walk-on scholarship player, PWO, that you played for a D1 football team, let alone an SEC team
Yeah.
like the Gators. I already understood that, but like I said, my mom was scared to death. And then when I told her I made it, I never forget. She was kind of like, she did like a little pause, and she was like, "Oh Jesus!" My dad was excited, so I never forget. So I always had this thing whether it was like middle school or high school or AAU ball, I always found my parents in the stands. For some weird reason, I could always spot them. So that first game we were playing in Miami, I didn't dress out that game. So I was just kind of watching the guys warm up. And so we run back into the tunnel. And I'm like, look, I was looking around for like 5 minutes for my parents. As soon as I go into the tunnel, my dad is like doing a whole lean with the camera. And I'm like, there you go. I mean, he like leaned. Oh, I thought he was gonna fall over because like he leaned so far, and I was just like, "Oh, hey, Dad."
Okay. So yeah, since after making the team, was there like any specific pregame ritual you had? Because as a football player myself, I had a specific routine. I want to do this, this, and this before the game. So what was your routine?
I always so the way it was set up, sometimes we would have to just walk to the stadium because we couldn't fit everybody on the two buses. So I'd usually get to the stadium sometimes up to like 4 or 5 hours early because we had a nice little lounge room. So I would just kind of sit there and just, watch college football just hours. Because I could literally watch college football all day if you let me. Like there's no better time of year to college football, in my honest opinion. Even working for the league now, it's like, yo, y'all don't understand. College football, like you take that away, the world stops. You know what I mean? So I mean, like there's nothing like it. So I would always get there like hours early, and I would always, talk to my friends, my family, my girlfriend at the time when I had one, and we would just like talk like a normal day. And but once I started getting my pads and stuff on, my mom would always send me like a scripture, before the game, because like we all understood, like I understood my role, and she would always just remind me like to be thankful that you're here, and just don't take any moment for granted, because I feel like sometimes like in this day and age, especially like walk-ons, they'll just, they'll go in and just be like, oh, like I'm on the team, then you don't hear from them or see them like a year later. Like this stuff ain't for the week. A lot of walk-ons don't go to see the end. So, there were times where I had, challenges, but at the end of the day, that's what got me here. That's what makes you stronger. So, so other than that, I didn't really have any, other rituals. And my playlist, my first song always is "Set It Off" by Boozy. Set it off. That's always gonna be the first one I play, and then once I shuffle it around, it can just be whatever.
Okay, so I was just about to get into that when it came to the playlist. It's like, do you have any specific playlists? Because in high school, you have my headphones on, walking into the stadium, we walk the field with my headphones on. So was there a specific playlist? Because you said you shuffled, or were you just like going with the flow?
Pretty much going with the flow. But it's gotta be hip hop. It's gotta be hip hop that day. It's gotta be it's a lot of Boozy, a lot of Kodak. You gotta have Young Boy when you're about to go into trenches. So yeah, those three, and honestly, a little bit of I'll throw a little bit of Eminem in there and 50. But yeah, I tell people all the time, Boozy hits different before a game. It hits different before a game every single time. Like even when I was at the Super Bowl and I heard the Rams come out to set it off, I'm like, oh, they winning this game, bro. You don't come out to set it off and lose, bro.
Oh yeah, facts. So, going to more of the stylish part of this interview, let's lean into like the in game. So, were there any specific like shoes you'd wear? Because y'all sponsored by Jordan. So, was there any specific like shoes, cleats, or any type of gear you like to wear?
Yeah, man. The 11 cleats. the 11 cleats that we got. Oh man, it was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. The exclusive shoes, we got some threes, we got some 11s, we got some 10s, we got like a gazillion ones. Um, I got the low cut cleats of those, which were really cool. Actually, you know what? My favorite cleats were probably the black ones we got. When we wore our throwbacks against Auburn, and when we all got our like throwback stuff, and we got the black cleats and the black socks. That was honestly probably my favorite.
Okay. So, more of off the field, what type of shoes like the rest? I see you're kind of in the fashion a little bit. So, what's your favorite kind of shoes, or even type of outfit that you like to wear?
Man, you know, I'm trying to evolve away from the typical black on black. You know, my mom loves it when I wear different colors, so I'm trying to, you know, branch out a little bit for her. But you know, I usually wear pretty much like a nice little cool black jacket, you know, a white shirt, you know, a little GOD chain, you know, and you know, I always gotta wear like a watch, and I always wear these bands. So you know, I got all these when I was at Florida. So, you know, it's just kind of like a reminder of where I was and, you know, where I am now. And as far as J's, it's nowadays it's like J's or nothing, because before I was all over the place. I was talking about like I had Under Armour, Adidas, Nike. Honestly, I didn't really get any J's until I was at Florida, to be honest with you. I had one pair of J's before I was at Florida, and they were just some white ones. And that was it. So Jordan definitely is for the culture. And honestly, when I saw Last Dance, I think I bought like 2 new pair of J's. So definitely J's are the vibe, you know, typical, you know, ball cap or sometimes depending on what it is. But yeah, I try to branch out a little bit, but you know, for me it's black for the most part.
Okay, so getting into more like the workout part, like was there any like specific like NFL players or even like outside of football, any like pro athletes you like to work out with specifically?
Van, in LA, I worked with Van a little bit. You know, part of, you know, being done with football, sometimes you have that little phase where you just let your body go. And I actually kind of had that recently with the finals. Man, I was eating like a prince during the finals. I'm talking about ribeye steaks,
So
crazy,
crazy.
like all the stuff, dream of having. So I was eating so wild, and then I got back here. When I got back from the finals, I'm like, I'm gonna take these. That is not. But then I looked in the mirror and I saw my stomach, and I was just like, it was like, nah. We got to do something.
Okay. So as like you said, you've already finished at Florida. So as you finish your time at Florida, was there anything that you achieved personally that you sat back and like wow, like I did it. I feel great to go into that.
Yeah. So once I was done, it was kind of one of those things where it's kind of like, now what? Because I always, you know, I always had ideas for, you know, making, whether it was like videos, working in sports, things like that. But people don't realize, man, it's hard. It's hard as hell to get in this business. Like, I'm talking about, if you don't have connections, you might as well forget it.
Oh yeah, facts.
And I hate saying that, but that's something that I've had to learn, you know, being a couple years in now. So, you know, in my experience, like I said, after we got our ass kicked by Oklahoma in the Cotton Bowl, I was like, okay, my social media career is done. Like, it's a wrap. And lo and behold, thank God, you know, people were still tuning into my videos, and marketing agencies were starting to look at me, because NIL was supposed to start in January, but it got stalled to spring, and it got stalled to obviously July. And fortunately, I had agencies asking me to be a talent for them, and I was like, oh damn, it's like, now I guess I really have made it, because now I'm getting all these, like, you know, proposed opportunities. And so when I spoke with Mike Raymond, and the big thing that really made him different than everyone else I talked to, they were talking about this big P word called perpetuity. I think that's how they pronounce it. And basically that means they take like a percentage of your name, your likeness,
Oh yeah,
everything, like your account. So like, if you go somewhere else, they can just sabotage you and sabotage your whole financial status, your career, whatever the case is. So I was like, Yeah. So when I brought it up to Mike, he was just like, I don't believe in that BS. And I was like, thank you. Thank you. And so that was a no-brainer. So I signed with him, and not even like a week later, we did Wilson and Gatorade. Not even like a week later, and it was just like it was one of those things where I'm like, what is going on? Like I thought this was all like done for. But now that I'm in a position where I can kind of like, story tell my experience, help people get that experience, create a merch line that acknowledges walk-ons in this game, because NIL it's a business. And either you're a star or you ain't. You're gonna get
Yes,
off the
facts.
deal or you're not. So I look at this as more than a merch line, but just like a lifestyle. So I'm like, okay, this is a way that we can promote ourselves. Like, we are all walk-ons. We're here together, and it ain't just scholarship guys. We're here too. So that's why I'm glad to be in a position to help the current guys, and even like the alumni. Like I talked to a few, from Georgia Tech and LSU, and they were all on board with it. So I think it's just cool to be able to stay in the game, help the next generation, while also working in media. And the way I got in media was it was so crazy, because I had advisors at the time who were familiar with people at Wilson, at the Rams, and things like that. And so they reached out on my behalf and they asked me for my information. And then right away, I just started hitting up people from the Rams. It didn't matter which department they were in, whether they were like marketing, ticketing, player personnel. Like, you just wanted to build those connections so that when you have an interview, they already see a green light in you. So I'll never forget. They told me in my interview, they said they narrowed the applicant list from like 400 to 14 or something like that. And I was like, damn, like that's crazy. Like, all these people probably with sports management degrees. I had a degree. Granted, I had a degree in graphic design, but still, like, all these. And I was just like, damn, like that's crazy. So like football, it's like it doesn't happen. Are you sure? Are you sure? You better get ready for the flag. You better get ready for people talking behind your back all the time. Like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, you ain't got to do it my way. Do it your way. So I always got to warn people about that. But yeah, lo and behold, man, it's crazy because Van actually spoiled it for me. So after my last interview, he was like, "Hey, welcome to LA, man." Or no, he said, "Hey, congrats." And I'm like, "On what, bro? I just came back from the student union. What are you talking about?" And so lo and behold, 5 minutes later, they offered me the role, and I was just like, I guess I'm going to LA. So I was there for a year, won the Super Bowl. After that, I was dipping because I wasn't really, there was just some things behind the scenes, and I was just like, ah. And so 20 minutes, it's crazy because 20 minutes after I announced I was leaving, the NBA hit me up, and it's just like, come on, man. Come on, man.
That's what's up. That's what's up for real, man. So this last question is gonna be like split into half. So the first half is gonna be like any words to any people wanting to walk on onto the university or planning to. So go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. Don't be afraid to reach out to me for sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I'm happy to help. And honestly, don't let any of your friends, your family dictate what you want to do. Because at the end of the day, it is your personal decision. And I'm just here to tell you from personal experience. For every walk on, trust me, literally changed my life in ways that I can't even, begin to describe. And honestly, what you got to do when you're getting ready for that tryout, work your ass off. Not to quote Kim Kardashian, but like, get up and work, because the rewards at the end and the opportunities at the end are endless. Because at the end of the day, for those who are walk-ons who are about to transition into the corporate world, what they don't realize is like, if you put on your resume that you played D1 football at, it could be Louisville, Hawaii, people gravitate to that quicker than you could ever imagine. And I honestly, genuinely think that as well as my social media are why I'm here working for the league now. Without those experiences, who knows? I'd probably be working in an agency back in Charlotte or Orlando, whatever the case is. So don't look at it short term. Look at it long term, because short term will just be like, oh, I want to start, I want to play. Be patient. Be patient. Accept your role. Learn your role. Just let it happen. And when you're trying out, don't worry about other people. Worry about yourself. Worry about what you're doing, and make sure you just work your little tail off and make sure you make that squad. And when you do, don't fumble the bag. Don't make any mistakes. Do what you're supposed to do. Always keep your head down. Remain humble, because you only get this opportunity once in life. College only lasts 4 years, unless you're going to med school a gazillion years. So that's what I would say for Spartan walk-offs. Join the gang, man.
Yeah, facts. For sure, bro. Give me some time. I'm gonna join that gang, man. For sure. For sure. So the last half is where anywhere to your younger self, maybe 3-4 years ago, and also another part to that, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
3 years ago, I saw myself just, being a freelance designer, a freelance creator. Now I see myself, 3 to 4 or 5 years, one being in a position of creative freedom and creative power with a big organization, whether it's, with the NBA, I get a bigger role there, another team, another organization, another league. And obviously I see myself, being a homeowner and hopefully happy with maybe a wife. I don't know. I'm still 23, so I'm relatively young. So I definitely see myself being a homeowner, being an entrepreneur, being a businessman, and just doing things the right way. I feel like in this biz, because I've seen a lot of just characters working in sports and know-it-alls. One thing I tell people is, like, I understand that how I got here is probably the most uncommon thing you've ever heard in your entire life. And one thing I always tell people that give me flack for it is, like, listen, you ain't gotta like how I got here. Hell, I don't even like how I got here. But you can at least respect how I stay here. Because it don't matter like how you get here. It just matters like your work ethic, your content that you're making, and you're just showing that, like, okay, this ain't no fluke. This ain't no accent. Like, you're here and we're here for a reason. So that's what I just like to continue to prove people wrong, and just, obviously invest in my money. I have a lot more money now than I did even last year. So just making good financial decisions, making sure that, I'm straight, my family is straight, and just keeping those in my circle around me close, and always keeping my head down. It's really what it comes down to. Because, if you see any of my videos, you don't see me talking all loud and nonchalant. I might act it out, but, I've never been the, like, kudos to my guy AJ Green. He's as energetic. I personally, I just don't have the personality for that. I'm more chill, laid back. But AJ is AJ, and he's awesome. He's great at what he does. Maybe I'll branch into that crazy role later in life. But right now, I'm happy where I am. I'm glad with the support system that I have.
Okay, for sure. I definitely appreciate your time, taking 30 minutes. This is probably the longest video I've had. I appreciate you taking some time out your day to sit on here and talk. And I'll put your social media down, and then when I'm about to release it, I'll tag you. And yeah, I appreciate you, man.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you. Anytime.
Oh, for sure, man. Have a good one, man.
Yes, sir. You too.